All right, so now we're live on Facebook. So if you can't make this event at BoostBiz Ed, you can stream it from your computer and make sure you get that valuable content. And if you can't write fast enough to keep up with Peter today, you can watch it and kind of recap and how did he say that, what did he say about that, go back and view that. If you can right now, go live, because you can add comments during the live broadcast as well. So I'll provide feedback for you guys when you go back or for other people that are watching it live. So with that, I'm going to bring Peter up here. So he is our speaker today, Online Marketing Strategy Made Simple by Peter Kent of Peter Kent Consulting. So hold on to your seat. Peter Kent's been online since 1984. I think that's the same time electricity was invented for computers. He has conducted business online since 1990 and has written about the internet since 93. So back when it was probably still ARPANET at that point. He's the author of more books about the internet than anyone else on earth, including the Complete Idiot's Guide to the Internet and SEO for Dummies. Peter's voice of experience speaks louder than anyone's. He's personally helped hundreds of businesses, large and small, including a couple you may have heard of, Amazon, Zillow, Avo, Honeybank, PAM, and The Lonely Planet. Knowing both the complexities and the simplicities, Peter spells out how any business can succeed online. So with rousing applause, let's welcome Peter Kent to the stage.
Thank you very much. It's hard to get rousing applause out of this small crowd here. We need to switch the...
Yeah, as soon as you're back away, we'll switch.
Oh, it's going to sleep. Pick up. Here we go. So, first thing you'll notice is that's a different title. But never mind, I'm playing with titles. So, even though this is not a huge group, as I heard people talking about their businesses, I was thinking, well, he should do this, and she should do that. And there's a lot of one-size-fit-all solutions to digital marketing. You can hear speakers who will talk about digital marketing and they'll say, this is how you do it. But the problem is, it's different for everybody. It doesn't work the same for everybody. So I will just explain a little bit about my background. We already had a bit, and then I'm going to explain what I'm not going to be talking about today and what I am going to be talking about today. So 1993, I wrote The Complete Idiot's Guide to the Internet. I've been online since '84, as you just heard. I know a lot of people think, well, online is the internet, but that was back then. It was CompuServe and bulletin boards and so on. '93, the World Wide Web was about 200 websites. In this edition, I wrote several editions of that book, Idiot's Internet. In the first edition, I think I had one chapter on the World Wide Web. Does anybody remember Gopher? One person remembers Gopher. Okay, Gopher was going to be huge, and none of you have heard, most of you haven't heard of it. And the web was nothing. So it's changed a lot in that time. Over that time, the important point I want to make is that I've worked with hundreds of businesses, in particular over the last 15 years working as an e-commerce consultant. I've worked with literally hundreds of small businesses. As you heard, I've also worked with Amazon and Zillow, Lonely Planet and so on. But many, many businesses who came to me because of the second book, mostly, because people read the book and they wanted help with SEO, and they'd come to me and I'd say, well, SEO is not your problem, this is what you need to be doing. So here's what I'm not going to be talking about. I've done lots of sessions where I teach, for instance, SEO, and I will tell you, you've got to have a good title tag, and here's what a good title tag looks like. And you could do a keyword tag if you want, but nobody really cares. The search engines ignore it. I can give you all that technical stuff. But there are two problems with that. First problem is you're going to take notes and you'll go home and you'll reread them and you won't understand it. A workshop, it works for a workshop. If we had several hours, I could teach you SEO. It's actually not that complicated. But the other problem is that it misses the point. And the big point is that most people aren't thinking rationally about what they should be doing online. They don't have a rational digital marketing strategy. As I said, I've heard different voices here and I've heard different things you should be doing. So it's not one size fits all. Every digital marketing strategy should be different. So today, and these are my goals for today. I'm not going to be teaching you SEO, I'm not going to be teaching pay-per-click. But I'd like to give you a starting point, a way to think about a strategy. And I'd like to open your minds, broaden your digital marketing mind, because there's a lot more to digital marketing than the things we think of. You've got to set up a website, you do SEO, you do pay-per-click, maybe you have a Facebook page. There's a lot more to it than that. And so you might think your tool set is this, but actually the tool set you should be pulling from is more like that, or possibly even this. There are just so many different channels, so many different ways to think about online marketing. And what I'd like to do, most importantly, I want to help you avoid this. And this is a real quote. Somebody said this to me just a couple of weeks ago. I did a really simple 1-hour consulting session with this woman. And she said to me, at the end of the hour, she said, I've spent years wasting time doing the wrong things. And it's such a shame. She'd lost, 3 or 4 years, a lot of money she poured into her business, and it was really going in the wrong direction. And I'm mixing metaphors here. We had tool sets, toolkits, now it's ladders. I just heard this a couple of days ago. If the ladder's not leaning into the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. Stephen Covey, I'm sure you've mostly heard of Stephen Covey. So the idea is to pick the right toolkit and put the ladder against the correct wall, and that's what I'm trying to help with. So there's one big mistake I've seen businesses make over the last 15 years, these hundreds of businesses I've worked with over 15 years. And the big mistake is they ask the wrong question. So you want to sell your products and services online, what's the obvious question? What are people asking? They're asking, how do I sell my products and services online? And it seems obvious, that's what you should be asking, but it's not. It's very misleading. It takes you down the wrong path if you ask that question. There's another question, which I will tell you in a moment, but first I want to give you an example of somebody who asked the right question. Now this is a guy, we'll call him Joe. Joe called me in 2005, and he wanted help with his business, and he already had a successful business. He had an online store, he was making money, he was doing pretty well, but he wasn't doing the usual things. Now, he did have a website. He was not doing search engine optimization. In fact, that's why he called me. He wanted help with search engine optimization. He was not doing pay-per-click advertising. He was not using Facebook, perhaps because Facebook didn't exist at the time. He wasn't using Twitter because that wasn't invented or released until later that year, 2005, I believe. He wasn't even using MySpace. Who remembers MySpace? I remember years ago, a client of mine saying, well, my nephew tells me if I want to do business online, I have to have a MySpace site. And my response was, why? And her response was, I don't know. We moved on. So what was the question this guy was asking? What was he doing that was so right? Because he did have a successful business. Well, the first thing he was doing was $2 million a month in revenues. He was using what I used to call community marketing. Today we'd call it social media marketing. This is mid-2000s. In the early 90s, I came up with the term community marketing because the term social media marketing didn't exist really. He was involved in the sports car forums. Now, he was selling parts for the Miata. That was a Miata, that little slide a moment ago. The Mazda Miata sports car. And he had a store that sold everything related to the Mazda Miata. And he hung out in these forums, these discussion groups. And he was very knowledgeable, he was very helpful, and you have to be careful marketing through these groups. You can't just jump in and say, hey, I've got a store, come buy from me. You've got to be, it's a bit more subtle than that. And he built himself into the community, he was part of the community. And somebody would say, well, I need a 5-inch circular blue widget for the Mazda Miata in 1985, and he would say, come to my store, I've got everything related to Mazda Miata. And he told me that eventually other people started doing the work for him. He would go to sleep at night, somebody would post a message somewhere in a forum, somewhere in the world, and someone else would say, go to Joe's site, he's got everything related to the Mazda Miata. And so this worked, $2 million a month from thinking out of the box, effectively. So what question was he asking? The question Joe asked was, he wasn't asking, how do I sell my products online? He asked, how do I find the people who would buy my products online? And it's a totally different perspective, and I'll give you some more examples in a moment, but it leads you in a different direction. Now, his competitors asked the first question, how do I sell my products online? And the answer to that question, and if you go online and search that question, the answer to that question is, oh, you set up an online store. And you'll find lots of ads from Volusion and BigCommerce and all the e-commerce companies. That seems to be the answer. His competitors asked that question, that was the answer they got. They set up online stores, they opened the virtual doors, and there was no one there. So they thought to themselves, oh, what do we do now? And that's when they said, well, we'll do some pay-per-click, we'll do some SEO, we'll set up a Facebook page maybe by then. But their problem was, before anybody went to Google and typed in find Mazda Miata parts, Joe had grabbed them by the wrist and dragged them into his store. He went to the source. So the problem, the number one problem is people are not really thinking about their digital strategy, or they're thinking in very simple terms. They're thinking, I want to sell my products, I've got to set up a store, and I better SEO the website, and I should do some pay-per-click. They're thinking in very simple terms. It's a simple little toolkit, and they're picking one or two pieces out of it, and it's not, it just leads them in the wrong direction. This actually is sell a product online, and you see some of the things that come up: Shopify, Volusion, Bonanza, start an online store, what to sell online. Just leads you in the wrong direction. And the other thing it does is you become so overwhelmed. There's just so much information, as you know, any search term, you just end up with so much information. You end up with this whole analysis paralysis thing, and I've seen this in many businesses. They're not really sure which direction to take, what they should be doing. There's just so much information. And the other problem is, if they do make a decision, they end up going in the wrong direction. So I'll give you another example. A few years ago, somebody came to me and he said, I need SEO help with my site. And he had a simple little e-commerce site, and he was selling gifts. That was his thing, gift baskets and just any kind of gifts. And, oops, that wasn't supposed to come up. How did that happen? So I asked him actually, and I've got to fix that slide, that should not have happened. I asked him, why would somebody buy from you rather than Amazon? And that was his answer. That's why it wasn't supposed to come up that way. That was his answer. He didn't have a good answer, which is a terrible answer for a business, any kind of business, when you're trying to sell something, sell a product or service. He didn't really know, didn't think about it. And the thing was, he didn't need an e-commerce site. I asked him, what do you do best? And he said to me, I'm a buyer. I've been a buyer all my life. And I know how to find really good products at really good prices. So he knew nothing about selling anyway. So why is he selling? I said, why don't you sell your products on Amazon? So he had asked the question, how do I sell my products? He wasn't asking, where do I sell my products? Where are the people who will buy my products? And I'll come back to that issue in a few moments. So again, you shouldn't be jumping into an online strategy without thinking broadly, thinking about all the options, thinking about where people are. I'll give you another example. A nutrition coach I spoke to at a conference just recently. We just spoke for a few minutes, so I don't know how it went, but she's local, she's in Denver, she wants to do nutritional coaching, she's setting up a little website. What's she going to do with that website? Well, then she's going to have to do SEO, she's going to have to do pay-per-click, and that can be complicated and expensive. So we started talking a little bit, and I said, well, what about Craigslist? If you go on the Craigslist, there are a lot of people doing personal training and lose weight here, lose weight there, all sorts of different people. Does it work? I don't know, but it's free. So she can set up a Craigslist digital marketing channel in an evening. And a lot of people do lots of business through Craigslist. A few years ago, my son wrecked the door on my Subaru, and we couldn't fix it. We decided to replace it. And I found a company on Craigslist selling parts for Subarus. So I'm sitting there writing a check for this guy, who's somewhere in Commerce City. And I said to him, do you get much business through Craigslist? He said, oh, we get all our business through Craigslist. That's all I do all day. I sit here, when people aren't writing the checks, I sit here and post ads on Craigslist. A lot of people are doing fantastic business through Craigslist. Would it work for a nutritional consultant? I don't know. But it doesn't cost anything to find out. The other thing I suggested was meetups. You guys obviously use meetups successfully, but there are these weight loss and nutrition and so on meetups. And there are two basic ways you can use the meetups. You can set up your own meetup, try to pull people in, or you can go find existing meetups, and I put in there, well, that was the health and wellness category. And actually over here, you can see they're looking for somebody to set up a Denver wellness meetup, and they've got 50 people already signed up interested. So as a nutrition coach, she could set up her own meetup and use that as a channel. She could even use Craigslist to push people to the meetup. Or she could go to some of these other meetups and speak for them. So did she need a website? I'm not saying she shouldn't have a website, but I'm saying she should be thinking more broadly about the options, the possibilities. So here's what you do to create this strategy. It's nothing particularly complex. You're not asking, how do I sell my products? You're asking, where are my prospects? And this just focuses the mind in a different way. It takes you in different directions if you do this. These are the basic questions. Who is your client? Where is the client? And how do you reach the client? And Niels, I think this is the first one's a really important question for you. For a lot of us, who is the client is obvious and it's very clear. And you don't have to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. For some people, that is a really critical question. I know it is for Niels, because he has a service that people don't even know they want until he educates them. So that's an incredibly important question. Once you've answered these three questions, then you're going to pick a channel. Basically, over here, you're building channels. The last question, how can you reach the client? You're building different or thinking about different channels to reach those people. Once you have these channels, I'll give you an example in a moment. We'll have 8 different channels, but you don't do them all at once. It's overwhelming. It's the analysis paralysis thing again. But you start picking channels and knocking them off. Maybe they won't work, and you move to the next one. Maybe it works well, and once it's working well, you pick another channel and broaden your marketing. So basically, you're going to pick a channel, learn about it, use the channel, rinse and repeat. So where are they? Let's come back to this gift store guy. So I mentioned the gift store guy. Why would people buy from you instead of Amazon? I don't know. And so if you start thinking about where are people who want to buy gifts, well, one obvious answer is that the search engines, Google, Bing, Yahoo, 500,000 searches every second go through those search engines. So that is kind of an obvious answer, but there is another answer. Most product searches don't go through the search engines. Most product searches, most purchase searches go through Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, they go through Walmart, Etsy, Sears, Rakuten, which owns Buy.com, and lots of other marketplaces. So if you just focus on the basic stuff, I'll set up a website, and you're trying to sell through your website, you're cut out of those anyway. Amazon's not going to help you sell through your website. Etsy isn't, eBay isn't. So you picked a channel where most of the people are not even in your channel, because most searches go through Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, etc. In fact, this is Amazon's dirty little secret. If Walmart was taking 43% of every brick and mortar retail dollar, Walmart would have been broken up years ago. But that's what Amazon's doing. 43% of all online revenue in the United States goes through Amazon. The other thing to know about Amazon is that I think almost half of all the products they sell are not their products. It's third-party merchants. I've run an Amazon store for a number of years. My son used to be in what I used to call the toy arbitrage business. So arbitrage, where you're playing off one market against another. You're buying in one market knowing that there's a difference in price with the other market. My son would go to Toys R Us with his smartphone, and he would scan things on sale. And the smartphone would say, oh, this product is on sale at Amazon for $32. The cheapest price on Amazon is $32. And in fact, he would tell him two or three, I think the three cheapest prices, new prices. And he'd look at it and well, it was selling in Toys R Us for $15. So he'd buy a bunch of them. He'd go home and he'd ship them to Amazon, to their warehouse. Do people know about Amazon FBA? Anybody heard about this? FBA means fulfillment by Amazon. So you basically package up your product, ship it to Amazon, it sits in the Amazon store, and then people come along and buy it, and you don't have to, Amazon does the work. You go out and buy more products. And so that's what my son used to do. He'd buy things at Toys R Us. Actually, he was buying things, he was also looking on online stores for deals, sort of clearance deals and so on. He'd buy them, have them shipped to him, and he'd just turn them around and ship them to Amazon. So in fact, I said to this guy, the gift store guy, you don't need your own website. He had told me, you recall, he said to me, what I do best is to buy products. I've been buying products my whole career. I know how to find really good products at really good prices. All right, so buy them and ship them to Amazon. So that's a channel he just hadn't thought about because he wasn't thinking broadly enough about different opportunities out there. So essentially, building a channel is just an education program. You have to think through. You ask that right question, where are these people? And then you go and look for them. You're guessing, and number one, well, guessing, you should be an educated guess. You should know who you're going to sell to, who you can sell to. You go to Google, you go to Bing, you search, and you dig around and see what comes up. And so if you were going to Google and searching, I'll give you an example actually in a moment, a chef. But you're spending time, you're following through the web, brainstorming. I'm going to give you an example in a moment of something that you really wouldn't find very easily if you weren't in the brainstorming mode. You want to think about the different channels, how the different channels fit together, and keep your mind open for opportunities to pop up. But I'll give you an example in a moment of that. Personal chefs. This is what happens if you search for personal chefs in Denver. And I have a friend who's a personal chef. And so we started to think about what he should be doing to sell his services. And he was already in the process of having a website built for him, which never got built. But it was in the process. But we started thinking about other ways for him to sell his services. And there's nothing wrong with building a website, but once you've got the website, then you have the problem, how do you get it to come up? And that means either pay-per-click, you're going to pay for every click, or search engine optimization, which can be very, very easy in some circumstances, but in many, if not most circumstances, is kind of complicated and slow. So what else can you do? Well, what do you find if you go searching? You do find people's personal websites, and there's some at the top, and of course they're local. But then you find things like this: hire a chef, and I think at the top is TaskRabbit, Thumbtack. Excuse me, not TaskRabbit, Thumbtack. I don't know if has anybody seen Thumbtack? Mm-hmm. So it's personal services, and it includes chefs, in fact. And this is his personal page on Thumbtack. And there he's very happy. This is a different photo. You also find people in Craigslist that are advertising as personal chefs. And you find a lot of these lead generation sites like Thumbtack. This is another thing. Amazon, what do they call it? Amazon Home and Business Services. I'm betting almost nobody has heard of this. Anybody? No. It's kind of new. They're keeping it quiet for some reason. It doesn't include chefs right now, but it's on his list of channels to watch, as it were. So as you dig around, you find a lot of interesting things. By asking the question, how do I reach these people? Well, you're looking at how other people are reaching these people, and starting to develop an idea in your own mind of how you too can reach people. We did this and we came up with these 8 different channels. You could set up a website and do SEO. Again, it's kind of complicated. You could do a website and do pay-per-click advertising. You could have a simple website and do pay-per-click. You don't have to have a complicated site. You can do like a Wix site or Squarespace. You could set one up in an evening and then do pay-per-click. You don't have to have it. To do SEO, it has to be more complicated generally. It's a more complicated process. The lead generation sites, Thumbtack, and there were a bunch of Hire a Chef and so on. Craigslist, we'll come back to Craigslist in a minute. Mentions in the press, we found in Google that people were getting local magazines like 5280 were talking about chefs. You could get listed in Yelp. And this is one, number 8 is a more complicated one. Contact Airbnb hosts, and it's like, wow, where'd you get that from? And that's the brainstorming process. And the reason we came up with that was I was renting out my condo, and I had enough room for, I think we had sometimes 6 to 8 people staying there. And so we had him come in and do a dinner one night. I think it was a group that were in town for a wedding. And it's, if you've got 6 to 8 people, you can have a chef come in and it's cheaper than going out. By the time you pay for a few bottles of wine and so on, it's cheaper than going out. So, and actually I had, he was going to cook for the Head and the Heart. Anybody heard of the Head and the Heart, the band? No, they were playing up at Red Rocks, and we had their sound crew staying, and so he was going to cook for them, and it kind of fell through. But so that's a brainstorming idea. The idea of contacting Airbnb hosts, contacting home away hosts. What else? Flipkey, which is TripAdvisor, and pitching it as a service. So you pick a channel and you research it. Which one would I pick? Out of those 8, I would pick, in fact we did pick Craigslist. Why? Because you can be up and running on Craigslist in an evening. It's free, doesn't cost anything. People are doing it, people are already posting personal chef services, and you can be up and running within minutes. Now, you're going to learn a few things. You need to spend a few hours kind of digging around, seeing how people are doing it. You'll learn that this isn't a terribly effective ad, probably. Something like this is going to be better. He's got photographs, there's a lot of detail, it's chunked, you've got bulleted lists, you've got headings, it's much easier to read. So what are you going to learn about Craigslist in the evening? Well, you're going to learn the mechanics. How do I post on Craigslist? How do I do this? It's not complicated. You're going to learn that you should probably be putting photographs into your ads. You're going to learn that you want some detail, you want to pull people in. Chunking text, heading, spacing, bulleted number lists. You'll probably also figure out, with a little bit of research, that you could have multiple ads. So he could have an ad that says, I'll cook for you and bring the food to your house. Another ad says, I'll come to your house and cook for you. Another ad says, I'll cook for small events, and so on. So you have multiple ads with a different pitch. And then the last thing is frequent, regular posts. You want to keep pushing into Craigslist. You can't overdo it. You can't push the same ad 5 times a day. You're going to get kicked out. But you can keep dropping ads in, so you're up in the results. So that's the sort of thing you would learn fairly quickly, playing with Craigslist. One evening. This is not a complicated thing. It hasn't cost you anything but time. So what would I do next? Well, I think the next thing to do is the lead generation sites. Again, because it's free. Now, Thumbtack, for instance, you get paid. You pay for leads. They bring you leads. You don't pay anything to be in the system. But if you get a lead, and I think the Thumbtack, if there is actual contact between you and the prospect, then you pay a small fee for that lead. So it's, and I think most of the services, the lead generation services, are like that. There's no fee to get in. So I would go for lead generation sites. You've already got the photographs, you've got photographs of Craigslist, you've already got the content. Again, you can be up and running in several lead generation sites in an evening. So now you have 2 digital marketing channels up and running. What would I go for next? I think listing in Yelp, because again, there's no charge. You're going to have to spend some time figuring it out. But you have the photographs, you have the content, the text, and so on. So I'd go for Yelp next. I might consider. Well, actually, I think I need to change the site. I think I would go for contacting Airbnb hosts next, because again, it's free. You have to figure out how to do it. There's a way to do it. It's because contacting people through Airbnb is really, it's for guests contacting people renting their homes. It's not intended as a messaging service. But there are ways to do it. You can figure it out. And I think actually I would switch. I'm going to switch this slide over. I'd make number 8 the next one, because again, it's free and fairly simple. Then I might look at number 3, setting up a very simple website, like what I call a business card site. You set it up through Wix, you set it up through Squarespace. You can probably do it in an evening. Nothing complicated. The complicated piece is the pay-per-click, and it's very easy to set up a pay-per-click account, to set up a pay-per-click campaign, but it's difficult to do it right. And I think most people lose money on pay-per-click. I've seen so many businesses, they don't even know if they're making money or not. I have clients come to me and they'll say, do you think we're making money? And I'll say, I don't know, you're not tracking your numbers, but probably not. I remember a client a few years ago, he was doing, I think, $1 million a year selling wool, selling yarn. And he didn't have the numbers to figure it out. I said to him, I think probably you are losing money on pay-per-click. And in the weeks following, he set up his conversion tracking, as they call it, so he could actually tell if he was making money. He said, oops, you're right, I was losing money. And I think most people lose money on pay-per-click. A lot of people do it for a while and then they give up. So it is a tricky thing. It's something that, once you get up here to the pay-per-click thing, it's something you're going to have to spend much more time and energy thinking about, learning about. It's a tricky thing. So open your mind. It's a lot more than just the basics. Well, I'll set up a website, I'll do pay-per-click, I'll do SEO. It's just a bigger picture than that. And you need to do this, the proverbial thinking outside the box. You really do. I'll show an example of some little trick. I kind of put this in because it was a little bit of fun. I was examining a channel. I've been looking at Quora. Anyone know Quora? It's a question and answer site. It's kind of like Yahoo Answers for people with brains, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you've ever used Yahoo Answers, but there's a lot more thought that goes into answers in Quora. I can't remember who it was founded by. One of the founders of Facebook or something. I must look that up. And it's doing very well. Ranks very well in the search results. And so I was examining this channel, thinking about using this channel to reach people. And while I was doing that, I found a list of the most viewed pages on Quora. So I thought, well, I'll play with one. This was just a game I was playing, literally a game I was playing, just as an experiment as I was learning Quora. I thought I'll answer one of these questions, and this is Quora. This is kind of what Quora looks like. I found a question. It was, how much does 5 gallons weigh? And so I posted an answer in there, and I put a baby in there because everybody loves babies, and there's a bottle of water, so it wasn't entirely off topic. So, and actually this is an important point, pictures in posts. So for instance, Niels, we were talking about guest posts, guest blogging, and setting up your own blog. If you put photographs, if you put pictures in your blog posts, the research shows they're far more likely to be viewed. So I'll give you an example. This is one of the other answers to the question. And I don't know, that's just kind of intimidating. even though, if you look at the top line, he's a sexologist, I'm not sure what that has to do with water, but still, it's still not very inviting. Whereas mine, I kind of chunk it, I use bold text, break it into pieces, add a photograph, italicize it, just makes it easier to read. And so this is a basic principle with any kind of posting online. Make it easy to read, don't just throw big blocks of text at people. Anyway, within literally minutes, my content was number one on Google for how much does a gallon of water weigh. Now the answer they're showing up here is not, it's one of the others, but if you clicked on that link, you would drop down into my answer. So it's a way of thinking broadly, brainstorming, figuring out how to reach people in different ways. This is an example of thinking about how there are already people ranking for certain questions or certain search queries. They're already ranking. Can you be in there? I'll give you another example. You know, how much does a gallon? Oh, this is Bing as well. So I wasn't at the top of Bing. Where's it gone? But I was still. Here's the link to that page. Within minutes, I'm ranked number 2 organic on Bing for that question. Now that question is not going to do me a lot of good. But although thousands of people have viewed the answer already, this one is more. This is closer. And I started thinking, wow, I wonder how many other search, because I've answered questions on Quora in the past, and I answered one about Chuck Norris, which actually is related to my business because it's an SEO question about Chuck Norris. So if you search for Chuck Norris trick, it comes up with this site here, but that site is going to disappear soon, because if you click on the link, it's gone. So it'll be dropped out of the search results soon. This is the answer to the question, how to do the Chuck Norris Google trick. And so the Chuck Norris Google trick, it used to look like this. You would search for Chuck Norris, this would come up, so as I say, it's broken, but if you clicked on that link, you'd see this. Run before he finds you. Run before he finds you. So this was a trick, it's called Google bombing. It's an SEO trick, which I'm not going to go into detail right now, but it's called Google bombing. And so I answered a question about it. This is the answer. And again, I chunked it, I've added a picture, bold text, etc., etc. This is the top answer for that question. I'll give you another more practical answer. I do a lot of expert witness work. I serve as an expert witness in litigation related to internet technology. I've done patents and trademark issues and online defamation and so on. So if you search for internet expert witness, I'm coming up number one because I'm paying for that ad. But then as you look down the page, there are other places that, as I look down the page, there are other places that I could be listed, and I am listed in some of these. So this one here, I could contact them and join their little firm, and then in effect this is a link to me. This one here, Quandary Peak, I think also I could probably get with Juris Pro. I'm in Juris Pro, I know that. This is another group that it looked like it might be possible to join. I'm in this one, or I was. I need to check that listing actually. I was in this one. So again, it's thinking broadly. Even if you're thinking about SEO, SEO isn't all about getting your website to the top of the search results. What about getting into the other search results? And it's not possible in every case. But it is possible in many cases. So the toolkit we looked at before, in my mind, the base of the toolkit.
About 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I need more than that. Okay, there's a lot more to it. I'm going to have to speed up than just these things. Well, I'm going to skip. Okay, you know what this is saying. There's a lot more to it. I'm going to skip an important concept, sneeze it out. And this is Chris Perillo. Chris wrote a book for me years ago when I had a publishing company, a book on email marketing. Chris had a 300,000 name email list in 1997. And his company's Locker Gnome. That's his nickname because when he was in high school, the football team thought it was amusing to lock him in his locker frequently enough for him to get the nickname Locker Gnome. And this is a photograph of him. And so he's kind of a nerdy little guy, geeky little guy. But as they say, success is the best revenge. I think it's kind of like Back to the Future. What was his name? Biff? Yeah, I suspect he hires Biff to mow his lawn these days. But he told me he has this concept, you sneeze it out. He says, I create content and then I sneeze it out as broadly as I can. So if I'm a chef, I want to sneeze my content out as broadly as I can. I want it in all these different places, Tasso, Thumbtack. I want a website eventually. I might do pay-per-click. I want it on Craigslist. I'm going to sneeze it out. If I'm selling products, I want to sneeze it out. And there are companies now that will sneeze out your products for you. If you do a Google search, you won't find that. But in effect, they are taking your inventory and then pushing it into all these different places. You've got marketplaces, like Amazon is a big one, obviously. In other words, they actually sell products, and you can put your products in there, and they will sell them for you. And even Sears is doing this, even Walmart, Newegg, Etsy, obviously. Then there are shopping directories. They don't sell products, but they will point you to places that do search products, and you can feed data into these shopping directories, like Shopzilla you may have heard of. Google Shopping is really part of Google AdWords, Nextag, and so on. And then if you're doing pay-per-click advertising, well, everybody thinks about Google AdWords, and it's a good place to start. But there's also Bing, and there's also now Yahoo Gemini. So you're thinking about broad distribution. You're thinking about sneezing it out. So don't jump in. Think about strategy. Maybe I can do. Maybe 5 minutes wasn't enough. Think about strategy, and then open your mind and broaden your horizons. That's the message I'm trying to get to people. That there's so much more than just thinking about website, pay-per-click, Facebook. And then you sneeze it out. You come up with your strategy and you sneeze it into all the different channels. That's close, isn't it? Have I got 30 seconds left?
Yeah, you got like a minute, so.
Keep talking. Fill up the 30 seconds. Well, I will keep talking if somebody asks me a question. Yes.
I have heard you mention Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the ones that I've been probably wasting a lot of time on the last few years.
I don't know. I'm not saying you should never use Facebook, you should never use, I mean, these are things, what I'm trying to get across is that there is no one size fits all. And there are a lot of people who will tell you, this is what you have to do if you want to do digital marketing. And the answer is really different for everybody. I mean, I can't remember what your business was again.
Book coach.
Oh,
publishing.
book coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for you, I think like Niels, we were talking earlier, if I were you, I would be doing what I used to call community marketing, social media marketing, and hanging out in those sorts of groups, which you probably do already.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn and Facebook, they might be totally appropriate channels. But there are so many companies, say content marketing. If you're in the business of content marketing, you tell people digital marketing is all about content marketing. You need to be content marketing, and it's completely untrue. If you're in the business of search engine optimization, obviously the answer is you need a website, you need to optimize it. It's that what's the old saying about if you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail?
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what we have now online. There's just so much information, it's so overwhelming, and it is also so biased in many ways because a lot of it is commercial messages, and even people who are providing very useful information, they're still doing it for commercial reasons. And so if you're a pay-per-click marketing firm, and obviously everybody should be using pay-per-click, so, but it's just different for everybody.
I heard you mention pay-per-click, and I think I know what it is, but can you
So at the top of the search results, you will see. You see this little ad. These ones here.
Right.
So those are paid. Well, they're not paid. It doesn't cost anything to put the ad in here. If somebody clicks on my ad, then I have to pay Google a fee, pay per click.
So if you're not generating enough business from that specifically, then
You're going to be losing money, and it's if you're selling a product online that's like it's worth $20, your average order is $20, even $30, even $100. There's a very good chance you're not going to make money with pay-per-click advertising. So if you get let's say 100 clicks and you're paying $1 for every click, and some of these clicks can be several dollars. In some businesses, clicks go over $100 a click. And so mesothelioma, you've probably seen the mesothelioma ads by attorneys on TV. Those pay-per-click ads for mesothelioma, well, last time I looked, which has been a few years, they were like $85 a click, one click. And I've heard, I haven't looked myself, but I've heard that they've been well over that in recent times. But so it's very, very easy to lose money in pay-per-click advertising. I will warn you, if you're going to do pay-per-click, you really need to understand what you're doing before you jump in, because you won't make money unless you do it well, and even if you do it well, it may not be appropriate for your business. It depends on a number of things.
And how do you bring it down to the local area? Say the Front Range, you're not interested in the planet, just Denver.
So we had one up earlier on. So local search is a different database. All the search engines. It's gone. I think we've got all the search engines. Here we go. So this is local search down here. It's actually appearing on the map. So you need to be in the local search database. That's automatically spelled. With Google, it's called Google My Business. And so the first thing you do is you go to Google and see if your business is in there. And if it's not, you add it. You can also do with Yahoo. I think Yahoo is using, they have a third-party service that works with Yext, I think it was. The name is changing. Bing also has a local. You go to Bing and see if you're in there. If you're not in there, you add it to the system. And then there. I mean, that's a big subject. We could do a workshop on local marketing in itself. But that's where you start. You want to make sure you're in there, and it really helps if you want to be found. This is a big problem with local, and I've worked with companies. I work with a law firm, a very big law firm in the Denver area, but it's down in the tech center. So if somebody searches for personal injury attorney in Denver, this firm doesn't come up because it's a really important part of the algorithm is Denver, and so we're putting dots on the map. Well, if you're down here, you may be one of the biggest firms in the Denver area, but you're not getting in there. There are games you can play. You set up another office downtown or something. People do these kind of things. They fake the addresses. There are games that could be played, but he's kicking me off, I think. Any other questions?
I was going to say one more question, so there you go.
I'm willing to trade with the Amazon Business Services. I mean, everything's Amazon. It's Amazon. So how would somebody get included in that, or how is it? Are they selecting vendors for this?
Very, very easy. Go home and look for a product. Find a product that you want to sell, you want to get rid of, a used product, and then find it on Amazon, and then look for the button that says "Sell Yours." I think it's "Sell Yours." There's a button on that page to sell yours. You click on that button, and it will take the information and it'll put it in the Amazon database, and you can sell it and you can ship it as well. But better still, go to the bottom of the page and look for, I think it's a link probably says "Sell on Amazon," and it'll take you in. And they have lots of different types of channels. I mean, we saw the business services. You can sell products directly. They also have channels for selling books, obviously Kindle, but also paper books. So there's a lot of different ways to sell. You can ship yourself, or you can put it in the warehouses and let them ship it. If it's a regular thing, you want to put it in the warehouse, because a lot of people will click the little Prime only checkbox, and then they won't see your products unless it's in the warehouse.
And what if it's not a product, it's a service?
Well, it depends. I mean, so we saw home and business services. It might fit in one of those categories. What particular type of service?
I do consulting for employee benefits.
So you're talking about that sort of. I don't know how one would use. Well, one way. I don't know if it's a great channel. I mean, people are using Kindle as a marketing channel. People are creating Kindle books as a way to, you probably know about this, as a way to market their businesses. I don't know if that's appropriate for you, because it's a local business. I don't know if there's a fit there for you in Amazon or not.
All right, well, I'm sure there are a bunch of questions. We're going to be here till 11:30, so if you can hang out and answer questions. But I want to thank Peter for talking, so let's give him a big round of applause. And I may forgot to prep you guys for this, but we're going to go around the room, and in one breath, what's the one thing that you're going to take away and take action on this afternoon? So it goes on the sheets that are on your seats. So write down that one action and share that with the room so that we know what you can do, and maybe we'll call you out on it in a couple of weeks. And so Peter knows what you got out of his presentation as well, so the key things that people are listening to and taking away from it. So with that, we'll go in reverse order. So Bill, we'll start with you in the back.
Craigslist was my number one. Never even dawned on me to think about Craigslist.
Okay, good.
I was going to say the Craigslist and Meetup, kind of linking those two together, it seems like it would be helpful for.
I've actually been thinking about a company idea similar to a personal chef. So I got a lot out of this particular talk, and just researching and looking kind of just at search results and what other people are doing.
Okay. Amy?
The thing that really stood out for me was checking out Quora, because I can go on there, answer questions, and then you become the expert in that area, and then showing up on search results. I didn't even realize that would happen. So
Yeah, that's pretty.
that was super helpful. Thank you.
Chris?
To broaden my thinking on how to market online, finding a channel, sticking with it. And my action plan already is I already registered on Thumbtack
Great.
Girl?
Great. Thumbtack was going to be the one in Craigslist, defining a rational strategy. Thank you.
I thought it was, all the different channels, but then thinking about how, not just the channels themselves, but how you use them, and that of, Craigslist and the ones that have been the whole thing about Airbnb hosts and stuff like that. I mean, that's a totally different channel. I've never thought of it that way. So broadening my view of what a channel is.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're going to go to the allies. So Linda, what'd you get?
I think also the broadening the audience and kind of getting out of like Facebook and Instagram and seeing what else is out there.
Okay. Turn it on yourself.
I think mine is going to be to brainstorm about what would work for me rather than doing what everybody else thinks is going to work for me. Mm-hmm. Really thinking about it strategically.
All right, and mine ironically was Craigslist as well. I offer a lot of discounts on a lot of different services, and people there on Craigslist are looking for cheap, so it'd be a great market to go after. So we're going to kind of switch gears to the allies. Peter, how can we connect with you? Go again. What are the ways to get more involved with you?
Well, there's my blog. We have my email address up there, peter@peterkenconsulting.com. Email me. I just set up a blog just recently, which feels ridiculous. I had a 30,000 name list 20 years ago, but I'm just getting back to blogging. and you can go to actually clickmensch.com, and it really doesn't matter how you spell it, you'll get there, clickmensch.com. I have a course on SEO. It's sold through Udemy, a list price of $200, but the Udemy model is very deep discounted, so you can get it for $10. Very deep discount. And if you're interested in that, just email me and I'll send you some information. Or I think you guys probably send something out.
Yep, it's on the website.
It'll be on the website as well. So.
Yep. Cool.